Hi guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Noelle and we don't have a review today, but I have been trying to figure out how to write this and I just can't put it into written words, so I guess I'm just gonna vlog it and then see how I can edit these things together and try to make it coherent. But in any case, there's been a huge development in the world as we know it. If you haven't been living under a rock, you probably know that we have been under threat of the coronavirus disease for quite some time. I mean, ever since mid to late December, and it's now March. And while things have gotten better for the people over in China, and especially the epicenter of the first outbreak in Wuhan, the rest of the world hasn't been quite as, I want to say, lucky. I would probably say the rest of the world hasn't been quite as prepared. Is that, or basically, it's a big mess right now. The epicenter of the outbreak is now in Italy, and as of Sunday, today is Thursday, as of Sunday, Metro Manila, the capital region of the Philippines, has been on what they call a community quarantine. And it was kind of like very, very hastily implemented. I guess the leadership thought that it was that kind of emergency where they just implement it and then work things out as it went. And as it went, it was really a big mess when Monday rolled around and people had to head into work because work hadn't been canceled for a lot of private companies. So they basically had this hard boundary around Metro Manila where people from the nearby outlying provinces who usually come into Metro Manila to work were stopped there at the border, and they had to prove that they had a reason to come into Metro Manila. So basically, it was a big smack show. And I think somebody up there figured, screw it all. They threw their hands up in the air and they announced an enhanced community quarantine. And so what that means is that for the time of this quarantine, which is supposed to be March 15 to April 14 or April 15, under the enhanced community quarantine, people can't leave their houses if they live within Metro Manila. The rest of Luzon is under this community quarantine, so basically the workplaces have been ordered to put their staff on skeletal mode. Government offices are basically not really running right now. And I guess all the energy of people around us has been put towards trying to mitigate allowing this virus to spread throughout the population. And so that's why I'm in here and my bike is in here, and for the next month or so I won't be swimming, I won't be riding outdoors, I won't be running outdoors either. So it's a sea change in the way we triathletes, endurance athletes, basically people in the metro, but for those of us who have been so used to being active outside our homes, now we have to figure out a way to be active inside our homes. I have been kind of trying to come to terms with it all. In this particular household, there's my mother, my father, and myself. And since they're both seniors, they're not supposed to be leaving the house to do anything because they're kind of in that vulnerable cohort of people. So basically with this virus, 80% have no symptoms or very mild symptoms, but 20% of these people who are infected, their symptoms develop into something more severe, like pneumonia, which needs external ventilators. And as you grow older, the likelihood of you um, having a case that turns severe grows higher as well. And so I have technically become the gopher person for anything that we need outside the house. Um, so yesterday I went to the supermarket, and even the supermarket has markedly different ways of being now. The supermarket I went to is kind of small, but they only allowed 20 people at a time inside. So there was a queue to get in. Once you got in, uh, the shelves were still stocked, but you weren't allowed to hoard things. So I could only get like one 2-piece pack of kitchen towels, for instance. Um, and that's when it really hit me that this isn't something that's going to go away after a week. We're going to be in this for a month. Um, I am very blessed that I have work that isn't really bound to any office. My employers are in another country, which has also closed its borders, and it's how blessed are we that this is a time where we can still keep in touch by telecommuting, by email. We can create things without having to be physically present with each other. And so that's my job. Um, and being an athlete really isn't my job, it's my hobby. So I've had to learn how to reprioritize my life. So priority number one is to stay healthy for my parents, because I'm the only one who can go out there and not catch these things. Of course, when I come back inside, I quickly sanitize everything. I even go to the extent of taking showers and putting my shoe soles in a mixture of bleach so that it could really decontaminate. Um, so yeah, and then priority number two is to keep the cash flow going. So I have to keep working, which is why I'm only shooting this video now in the afternoon, because I'm done with my work. You tend to do a lot more work when you're working from home. And basically, any specific training for sport is priority number. It's really down the line. So what I'm doing is I'm just trying to keep a base level of fitness these days. I don't know if this is gonna go away in 4 weeks. Everybody around me who I speak to virtually say that it might go on for maybe 6 to 8 weeks, and then the world might not even lift all of these travel restrictions fully, because outbreaks can flare up and quickly overwhelm hospitals and that sort of thing. So really, it's best to stay at home for the moment. Okay, so that being said, I did send a call out to my Instagram followers, because I basically had no idea what to write about anymore, because nobody's praying for races, and life as we know it is kind of, I don't want to say at an end, but it's really going to change. So I asked my followers on Instagram to ask me or to give me ideas on what I should blog or vlog about. So, all right, let's just read through them, the responders. Chronicle your choices that were born of boredom. This is from Pop, Lock, and Pop, Lock, and Boom. Okay, since I'm the caretaker, I work. I haven't had time to be bored. I really haven't had time to be bored. Okay, question number 2. Nutrition or food during lockdown? This is from Ryan Superstitioso. Right, so basically people try to stock up as much as they could. I don't think it's possible for people on my income to stock up for an entire month, and I don't have the fridge or cupboard capacity to do so anyway. Uh, so I am planning to do a supply run in about 2 weeks' time. Hopefully, we can stretch out the things that we already have brought into the house. Nutrition or food, you always want to try to get fresh things like fresh produce, fruits and vegetables. But and there's a supermarket right next to our place, so it's easy to get the fresh stuff. But also, you want to avoid going out as much as possible. So, um, what what keeps are usually the canned processed foods. But you don't want to have too much of those. So I guess if you can still, like, you can read the labels on your cans to avoid the overly salted and fatty ones, then you should still be on the right track to keeping good nutrition. Uh, for instance, dried fish, dried meats, um, beans that you soak overnight and then cook. They're pretty healthy for you. Just make sure that you uh, try to cut down on the sugars and the salts and everything like that. Okay. Next, home workouts. Well, I don't really have space in this condo to record home workouts. I was planning to do a whole series on core exercises for runners to make their running form more efficient. I will try to find a space here in the condo where I can shoot, because we're technically allowed to go up to our roof deck to do laundry. But I don't really want to do that if I feel like I'm risking contamination. So I have to think about it. All right. Walking or running the dog? Yes, I do. We are allowed to walk our dogs, but not for very long. The security guards are always, checking up on us and seeing if people are trying to congregate, which they want to avoid as much as possible. So I usually just take my dog out for 5 minutes, and then after he's done his business, we come back inside. Um, he's a Shih Tzu anyway, so they don't really need much activity. If money was no object, what would you do all day? Anton Bredo. So if I didn't have to work through this quarantine, what would you do at home all day if you weren't working? I would probably try to craft something. I am keeping a handwritten diary of things that have been going down during this community quarantine. But I don't know if that's something I want to put out to the public, or if it's something I want to keep for myself as a memento of this time. It is a pretty historic thing, in world history. So, yeah. That's probably what I'd be doing. I'd be writing, or I would be writing a novel. Next. Being consistent in workout. Well, that's really about finding the opportunity, or how much space do you have in your living area, and then working within that space, think of what you can do. Like, I know some high intensity interval workouts that you can do within a very small space, like particularly this space within my room. I could probably do some HIIT workouts without breaking anything, something like that. You have a larger space, you might be able to do some home workout videos. I know a lot of people are doing YouTube workout videos these days, so that is good. Find the ones that will work for you, or you can probably check out like workout apps. There are a number of workout apps for certain different things like yoga or cross training, that sort of thing. So many things that you can choose from. Now, and then when you found something that you like, you make time for it in your schedule. So what's happened for me is that my workout schedule has always been towards the afternoon. I try to do something at least 5 days a week. And so far, this week, I have been successful, and we'll see if I can keep this streak up for as long as this quarantine lasts. All right, so those were the suggestions for what to blog about. Life as a content creator has, especially in this niche, has turned a little complicated. But, I mean, I've always approached this as me taking you with me on my journey. And so whatever I'm going to be doing, fitness-wise, as an athlete, that sort of thing, I'll be happy to invite you guys along with me on this journey. Okay, guys, so that's it for me right now. If you have any reactions, if you have any suggestions on what else you want me to talk about or write about, please do let me know in the comments below. Or, all my social media, they're also written in the description box. I want to point out this particular little gem that surfaced on the internet yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yeah, it was yesterday. So there was this huge controversy about influencers being basically very insensitive towards people who are more adversely affected by this community quarantine. Because for people like me, and people like most of you middle-class athletes, we probably can keep working from home. We were able to stock up on groceries for at least a week. And there's always money in our bank accounts. But for a vast majority of people who live in Metro Manila, they live on a daily wage. And if they don't work, they don't eat. And they can't bring anything home for their families to eat. So when community quarantine was announced, it was pretty easy for people like me to adhere to the community quarantine. But I know that there are other people who would risk contracting COVID-19 because, there's a small chance that they can contract COVID-19, but there's a larger chance that they're going to die of hunger if they don't go out to work. So what you gonna do? And anyway, there were some influencers who were pretty insensitive about that, which, it happens in a country as diverse as this. But some of them actually went on this long rant on Instagram. And of course, she got the backlash she deserved. But it also resulted in this little banger. So to end this little video, I introduce to you I'm trying to find it on Twitter right now because it's not available on Spotify. I bring to you this banger. Yeah, hopefully my internet works.
Stay at home. Stay at home. Stay at home. Stay at home. Don't you guys because all of this is exactly why they need the military. Because you fuckers won't stay at home.
Bye guys, I'll see you again soon.
All of this is exactly why they need the military. Because you fuckers won't stay at home. Guys, come on.